Welcome home to USA Global TV and Radio, a place where dreams take flight, with authentic storytelling, diverse perspectives and meaningful conversations, where global stories unite and bridges are built beyond all borders. Discover world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Together, we're building bridges worldwide. Subscribe to our channel, USA Global TV. Download our app, USA Global TV. Be our guest or join our team. Visit usaglobaltv.com. Thanks to our founder and executive producer, Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Music score by Yeffy Tang from Cloud Road Music. Voiceover artist Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. USA Global TV and Radio. Your home for global connection. All rights reserved. This video and its contents are the exclusive property of USA Global TV and Radio. Unauthorized use, duplication or redistribution in any form is strictly prohibited.
We're at O'Laughlin today. We're on the third show, back to back to back. We just started out with the corner bookstore, then the wise ones, and now we're on Talking Heads. Let me go ahead and get my slides lined up here. Get them. There we go. First one. Today we're talking about diet, health, and aging. All of those are interrelated in many, many ways. I have a new book coming out, and I'm going to be going into health and aging and disease, and I want to make sure that we can cover a lot of this up front on some of the programs that we're doing here. So we're seeing live streaming on Amazon Fire, E360 TV, YouTube, a couple of channels there, more than that actually, Android TV, social media, many, many more. I think about a dozen active video channels, and then some follow-ups later with the podcast and audio, etc. All of my shows are for awareness and education. My website is redolaughlin.com. That's red like R-E-D, O'Laughlin, OLAUGHLIN.com. All my books are there, social media, contact information. My preferred methods of contact are by phone or by email. All of the shows that you see here on USA Global TV and Radio Network are live off of YouTube, a couple of different channels there, but they're also archived there. So if you wanted to go back and catch a show I did maybe several months ago on pain or something like that, just go in there and do the appropriate searches. But most of my stuff is, I consider myself to be a translator of complexity, particularly in the human body. So I look at root cause analysis. I've been involved in that many, many, many years. And so I start looking what's happening at the cellular level in the body, biologically, chemically. If this causes that to happen, what can we expect? Can we slow it down? Can we speed it up? So I try to translate this into decisions that people can act on. Focus on what helps, but also what doesn't help. And I provide essentially what I consider to be decision support manuals for aging. Take my information, go to the doctor, talk to him, and say, "Hey, doc, what about this?" And that's where I see most of my benefits coming from. I'm a researcher, never been in the medical or pharmaceutical fields. My first degree was in chemistry, got an invitation to Vietnam, so never really practiced until here more recently. Got a total of 5 academic degrees, a bunch of professional certifications, primarily in the areas of quality assurance, reliability engineering, and logistics engineering. Spent 31 years in the Navy, flew for 16, retired as a Navy captain. And I need to update my slide. I've been to 61 countries with the Navy, but now my country total is up to 64. Just got back, my wife and I, from a cruise. I specialize in cause and effect relationships. If you can treat a cause, you can generally try to pretty decent chance of treating whatever's wrong with you. But if you're treating symptoms, you're not treating the cause, and the cause could get worse. I've been married 57 years. This summer will be 58. A couple of kids, 3 grandkids, and 1 great-grandson. Just celebrated his 2nd birthday here in January. Best-selling author, independent publisher, distinguished Toastmaster, writer forever, international TV host, #1 most valued team player on the USA Global TV and Radio Network, and I was the #3 host in 2025. My book, Longevity Secrets to Healthy Aging, focuses on 2 aspects of aging that I wrote 10 years ago about, and it's still of immense value today, but the book I'm writing now, called Aging Sucks, is the one that's actually going to take and be a follow-on to the book Longevity Secrets, because I'm looking at going into the details of the hallmarks of aging, the hallmarks of health, and the pathways of disease. And the Aging Sucks book cover has not been defined yet. Hopefully very soon. I've been working on that here off and on. But my programs are for information, educational purposes, awareness. Disclaimer. Today in all my talking head shows is for educational, informational purpose. Does not constitute medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. If I reference a particular compound, it's strictly in a research context. And I provide that information so that you can consult qualified medical professionals about your health. So if you have something going on, you're on a prescription drug, and I say, hey, this might be of some interest, take that information, write it down, do a little research on your own, take it to your doctors. Hey, doc, what about this? And you'd be surprised. A lot of times they will actually work with you. My next book coming out summer this year, Aging Sucks. I also have a webinar series that I'm going to talk about aging, health, disease, heart health, brain health, pain, a lot of things that help us get through our daily lives. Aging doesn't have to suck. In fact, I think there's a small percentage of us when I say aging sucks, they laugh at it, and someone says, well, I don't think it sucks. Okay, well, that's a small percentage, probably less than 10%. But most of us believe it does. Aging involves a lot of interactions, many that we don't even understand, some that haven't even been defined yet. We do some things right, we do some things wrong, and some we don't do at all because we don't even know what to do. And that's what my program comes into. What can we do? Why are we doing it? So let me tell you a little bit about why I think diet's important. My aha story, my wife's story. A little over 10 years ago, my wife came down with breast cancer. She had surgery, lumpectomy, successful, but they recommended, because she had a couple lymph nodes that were challenged, that she go through chemo. So she went through months of chemo. I mean, it was just absolute worst part of her life, my life too. Fatigue dominated everything. And I had been a chemistry major. I got my degree in it, but never really practiced it. Once or twice off and on at different companies I was at, but never for more than a moment or two. But I started thinking as I was going through her as a caregiver, I wonder what can I do to find out, is there something there that can help? So one by one, I started looking at the side effects and the drugs were causing, and what can we do about it? And little by little, we were making some progress, but nothing worked at all with regard to fatigue. And just about the time she was done with her chemotherapy, the radiologist told us that radiation therapy would probably make it worse, wouldn't get any better. Anyway, that was the word on the street. So in between her chemo and radiation, I extended the duration of that absence of treatment to give my wife some time to recoup a little bit. I read this book called The Walls Protocol by Dr. Terry Wall. She talked about 4 different pillars for health, one being diet, exercise, stress management, and sleep and toxins. And she had been late in life, came down with MS, kept getting worse and worse no matter what. She finally ended up in a wheelchair for years. And she basically did her own research on herself. And so she put herself on her own protocol, no matter what the doctors did with all the programs they had, none of that worked. But with diet, she was able within 3 months to get out of a wheelchair and walk with a walker. Within 3 months, she was walking using a cane. By the end of the year, she was bicycling 18 miles almost daily. And it was all because of diet. I thought they were handling some of the other stuff, but her diet was fairly simple. A couple leafy green vegetables, a couple of colored fruits and vegetables, but the color had to go all the way through the vegetable. If you think about a blueberry versus an eggplant, a lot of sulfur-laden vegetables and some protein, healthy fats, and basically 1 cup of raw, whatever it was, or half a cup of cooked. The only thing I did to that particular protocol was I changed the protein based on some other research I had done, saying change the protein every 48 hours. Don't keep the same protein day after day after day. And it was interesting. Within 48 hours of her starting this new diet, her chemo fog disappeared. Literally, the fatigue went away. She was taking 1 or 2, sometimes 3, 2 or 3 hour naps a day. I mean, just not eating, sleeping all the time. It disappeared. She wasn't taking any naps. Boom, it's gone. She went through all her radiation, weeks of that. The last day we went to the radiation treatment, jumped in the car. When we left the parking lot, we drove to Jacksonville, Texas, about 1,000 miles from Houston. And 48 hours later, we're heading back. I had rented a U-Haul, got my parents' estate stuff that I wanted to keep. And she drove behind me 500 miles a day, 48 hours after her last radiation treatment. Again, the only thing that changed in her life was diet. That was it. That was the only thing that changed, and it made a major difference. It drove out months of chemo fog. It drove out weeks of radiation treatments, all because she was eating. Now, this Wall's protocol, because of the way it's structured, it considers about 31, 32 of the nutrients our body needs on a daily basis. So if you're feeding your body with the right kinds of stuff on a regular basis, things will change. We take a look at our diet today. It's our choice in food, whether we buy it at the store, we take it, make it home, whatever. But it's the types of foods, the kinds of foods, the amount, when we eat. A lot of different aspects focus around our food choices. If we eat nothing, initially it's pretty good. Generally in about a day, autophagy starts up, and that's super good for us as far as cleaning out our bodies, our cells, recycling things. But if you take it to extreme, you basically start to starve to death. And there's been some people that literally did take it to extreme. They overcame the cancer. The cancer died in their body, but they died because of starvation. So, there has to be some smartness to this thing. A lot of us eat too much. Obesity becomes an issue, or maybe you're just carrying that extra 30 or 40 pounds you don't really want to carry. And that's bad from a degree too, because that presents an extra health risk. That fat around your gut actually becomes almost like another organ. It almost like a life support system unto itself. And sometimes we eat the wrong stuff, and we end up with deficiencies in this, or metabolic issues, cardiovascular issues. So just because we're eating doesn't necessarily mean everything is copacetic. So we need the right balance and the right timing, because if we're eating everything late at night, the quality of our sleep is going to be disturbed. And that becomes a major portion in our health too, because we need quality of sleep in order to get our bodies repaired properly. Let's see, 1994, 95 time frame, I started reading a book, The Atkins Diet. I think I read 4, maybe 5 books on it. And I said, that's pretty neat. So I started it, and whoa, 4 months, I dropped 40 some pounds, 8 inches. I was a happy camper. I couldn't believe it. I went back on active duty, went over, spent a couple of years in New York City, a couple of years in the Bay Area, California, spent another couple of years in Germany. And I thought this was great. I spent 6 years. I just peak of my health, I thought. The only thing I noticed was I could easily run 6 or 8 miles without even batting an eye, but I'd get about a mile, mile and a half, couldn't even get 2 miles. I was out of gas. I had no reserve. Okay, I could live with that. I enjoyed life. I was happy. It was easy to maintain. And I would find out, well, I'm living in Germany. I'd go down to Italy for the weekend. And on Atkins, you're not eating any carbs. I go down there and pig out on pasta and bread and whatever. And I come back, I do eat 11, 12, 13 pounds more than I did when I went down. Water weight gain. And 2 weeks later, I'm back to my regular weight, happy as a lark. But I got out of the military there in 99, retired with 31 years. And I had my first a bone density test. I thought, hey, I've been a runner for decades. I've been lifting weights for decades. I should have some of the best bones ever. Well, it turned out I was osteopenia. Shocked me. I didn't know why. It took me actually a little while to figure it out. So when you start doing the exploration of what causes calcium to get into the bone, well, it actually requires a lot of things. But to make this thing simple for the show today, you need calcium. You need the right kind of calcium. If you don't have the right kind, it's very, very difficult to get it into your bloodstream. Magnesium helps, but most of us are deficient in magnesium. So the magnesium helps that calcium get in to a bioabsorbable function. If I have enough vitamin D3, when the calcium leaves my stomach, goes to the duodenum, if the vitamin D3 is there, it'll be sucked into the bloodstream. If not, it ends up in the toilet. If I don't have enough vitamin K2, that calcium goes to my blood vessels, my arteries, heart valves. It goes to the places I don't want as plaque. And so I need to have that vitamin K2 to get it to my bones. Okay, that's great. A lot of stuff to get it to the bones. But once it gets to the bones, the things that get it there don't keep it there. So I need my calcium to stay in my bones. I have to have a higher pH than normal. So most of the times, if you look at just a normal level pH, it's 7.0. It's neutral. Anything less than 7 is acidic. Anything more is alkaline. Well, our blood vessels, our bloodstream needs a pH of 7.35. And when it's not there, it goes into the bones and grabs calcium, takes it into the bloodstream, and maintains a pH of 7.35. Well, it turns out that thinking, breathing, working, anything we do, exercise, our metabolism gives acidic byproducts. So our pH goes down. Proteins, fats, carbs all provide an acidic byproduct. So if I have a Whataburger and I'm eating, and all of a sudden I take my pH, 6.5. Well, that's not good, because now my bloodstream requires a 7.3 or higher, and it's not there. But if I'm not eating enough fruits and veggies, my body is not going to ever achieve an alkaline state. So the fruits and veggies have to offset our metabolism. They need to offset our proteins, our fats, and our carbs. And so fruits and veggies become very important. But you know something? I went back and I checked a couple of newer books on the Atkins diet. It's not in there. It doesn't even talk about the fact that your body becomes acidic, and this becomes an issue, major health issue, if you haven't become old enough, because you end up with brittle bone and other things. So, but it's one of those things that you learn over time. Well, hopefully we learn over time. So, but what about everything else? If you're a viewer of my show, often you know that I talk about lifestyle choices, what we eat, our stress management, our exercise, our sleep habits. All of those things add up to our lifestyle choices, the things we do every single day of our lives, or should do. Maybe sometimes we don't exercise. Maybe sometimes we don't manage our stress. Maybe sometimes we disrupt our sleep with late night snacks and alcohol and who knows what. Just lots of things get in the way. Life happens. But if we actually started seriously thinking about how can diet affect my health, my aging, and my retirement ability to do what I want to do. Now, I'm almost 80. I'm in retirement, have been for quite a while, almost 20 years almost, seems like. But a lot of my audience is not. And so part of this program today, awareness, that's the first step. Okay, this is something new. Education, let's learn a little bit more about it. But the ability to take action. In some cases, if you're a healthy enough person, just do it. But if you're on prescription meds and you're under doctor's care, don't, because that's not the smartest thing to do. Sometimes you're on prescription med for a reason and you start making some change willy-nilly. That's not the best part. That's not a good, smart decision. But if I take a look at my gut is what they call the second brain. And I have microbiome down there, and it needs stability. 80% of my immune system operates out of my gut. So if I'm going into my gut and I have good, natural, healthy things there, I got a pretty decent immune system, I'm pretty healthy, good brain health. A lot of things are going in there. But I need balance. I can't end up with a gut that's going up and down, back and forth. And so I got to make sure that I have the right kinds of probiotics that keep that balance in my gut, but also the right kinds of prebiotics that fertilize the gut in order to keep the balance there. So, but with diet, lots of things happen in life. I can remember one time I had 2 food sensitivities that didn't make any sense at all. One was tomatoes. I ate a tomato and my lips started to burn. Well, that lasted 3 or 4 months, went away. I was a runner in New Orleans. We'd run 3, 4, 5 days, at least 4 days a week. And one of the things of being there was you could go get beer at the truck after you were done running. And it turns out I could get a cup of beer, no problem at all. But the second cup, I get headaches. I mean, bad headaches. Oh, whoa, what's going on? I didn't know what was going on. An allergy to something in that one. I could take that same beer from a bottle or a can, not have a problem. But from the truck, I had a problem. So I had to be content with 1 cup or go somewhere else. And that lasted for several months. But we have food sensitivities, insensitivity, allergy. We talk about gluten. We talk about lactose intolerant. We talk about, there's a lot of things that our bodies develop over time. So if our gut, we experience bloating or pain or gas, we have nausea, headaches, rashes, brain fog, not fog. And so we learn what works. Okay, I can't eat whatever, chocolate. That gives me migraines. We learn over time what we can get away with and what we can't get away with. And we adopt. That becomes our our standard. But if we can keep our stomach happy, our brain is generally happy, and our body is generally happy. I say happy mitochondria at the cellular level, happy health, because those are the things that control everything at the very bottom. So stomach is a big deal, and all the food we put in there becomes part of that. Our autoimmune system from our gut, over 100, 130, 140 different diseases come out of that autoimmunity issue. A lot of problems can develop because of gut issues. So we need to be careful. Fasting, one of those things that I try to do, and I have done for ever and ever and ever from years. I try to do a 72-hour fast every month. Sometimes it's 100, sometimes it's 200 hours. But I do a fast every month to promote autophagy. That's where the cells are cleaned out, all the trash is removed, all the garbage is there, everything is recycled. It starts at about 18 hours, about 100%, about 72 hours. But fasting can be extended. In other words, 72-hour fast, 100-hour fast, or it can be intermittent, 18, 20-hour fast. There's benefits to that. It could be one meal a day, 22, 23-hour fast. But there's a lot of benefits to fasting. Probably a 72-hour fast is, I think, probably the healthiest thing a person can do. I'm not sure there's something healthier that I can tell you. Gerontologist called Dr. Walter Longo, USC, his Longevity Institute. I'm going to say 10 years ago, he got me involved in the 72-hour fast, because it says 72-hour fast will rebuild your immune system from scratch. And literally it does. And so he started working some more. And most people can't go 72 hours of fasting. But if you go 120 hours of fasting, they had remarkable success with rebuilding your pancreas for beta cells and alpha cells. And they were having amazing results with type 2 and type 1 diabetes, particularly in animals. They're starting to convert that into human studies. And so if I can rebuild my pancreas, rebuild my immune system, and I'm starting to get a brand new system inside of my body, doesn't that make sense? Just from fasting. Now, I realize not everybody can. If you haven't, if you're going to do something more than 24 hours, keep your doctor in mind. At least keep your spouse, your kid, somebody in mind who knows what's going on, because we don't always know what's happening. So a lot of things that go in vogue, vegan, vegetarian diets, a lot of pluses and minuses. If that's what your thing is, go do it. I'm not going to tell you not to. But I will tell you that there's some issues there. On the plus side, they generally have lower disease risk. No problem with that. Generally easier to maintain weight. Very definite positive. Lower risk from a lot of things. So that's a plus. You end up with lower inflammation, lower oxidative stress, improved metabolic health. A lot of good things there. Can't argue that. The minus side, options there for many nutrient deficiencies. And when you start having that, you end up with cognitive issues, bone issues, B12. B12 is, you can't get B12 from plants. It's just not there. So you go and take a pill. Well, if the pill is the wrong kind of B12, B12 is a cobalamin. And if you're taking it as a cyanocobalamin, it'll be destroyed in the stomach acid. You'll never get any benefit from it. So it needs to go under the tongue. So you absorb it into the bloodstream. But iron, calcium, omega-3 fatty acids, vitamin D3, zinc, all of those things, if you're a vegan or a vegetarian, you really, really, I mean, absolutely positively got to know what is the plus and minus on what you're taking. You need to know better than almost anybody you know, so that you can make sure your diet is balanced and your supplements are there, and they're the right kind of supplements. You take a supplement just because it has vitamin E. There's 8 different kinds of vitamin E, and in most supplements, it's synthetic. It's worthless. So you got to know what you need to know in order to keep your health there. Toxins, that's a big topic with me. I try to buy most of my foods, and I'm really particular on any personal care products. I buy them rarely, particularly because of the nanotechnology. The toxins are just all over the place. You look at a label of something, he's got, oh my God, 20, 30 items in there. That's not what you need. You need something with next to nothing. European canceled out 1,000 of the toxins the United States puts in its foods on a daily basis. You get a particular food, let's say that this company, XYZ, makes this product in America and makes it in Europe. In Europe, it may only have 6 products that make up that particular food. In America, it's maybe 15. But sometimes in America, we want something to taste better, smell better, look better, have that texture, have that extra crunch. So we're getting toxins that do that. But when you add those toxins to the body, they create lots of problems internally, and they affect your aging. They affect how you look. They affect you how you think. Just Google toxins in health. They're just literally way, way, way too many to list to go into this program. Generally speaking, I read labels on everything. It's rare I don't read a label. It's just it becomes a habit. So the fewer items, the better. And sometimes you look for certain key things there. Know what a label says. Just because it says low or no sugar doesn't mean something. I mean, if I gluten-free, well, if I'm looking at a glass of water and it says gluten-free, well, so there's no gluten in water anyway. So there's a lot of it's false advertising. But when you have a lot of preservatives and things in something to make it look better, last longer, whatever, those can cost you a problem down the road in your health. So it's a big thing. You ought to be able to. That should be a project take on one of these days for New Year's resolution. Learn more about reading and understanding labels. Alcohol. I enjoy my red wine as much as other people. However, the body treats alcohol like a poison. I mean, everything stops. Your digestion, it's called just no more. And the body will process alcohol through your liver until it's all gone. Then all of a sudden it'll start digesting again. You may have seen this if you happen to eat late at night and you have an extra glass or two or beer or two. And all of a sudden at 2:13 in the morning, you wake up. Why am I awake? And all of a sudden your body has digested the poison, the alcohol out of its system. And now your body's digestive system is starting to work. And so it turns everything on. And that's what happens when you have that. So if you're going to eat and drink, do it earlier in the day. If you're going to drink, do it much earlier, 6 p.m., not 9 p.m. Again, if you look at alcohol and health issues in the body, the list is very long. If you're only drinking once a week, probably not too bad a deal. But long-term effects can be a serious one, especially if you're drinking 6 or 7, 8 days a week. So again, awareness, it's something you probably need to address. But the digestion is something that it's noticeable when you wake up in the middle of the night and you don't know why you woke up. That might be one of the reasons. But it certainly disrupts your sleep, the quality of your sleep. Ketosis, another one of those like vegan, vegetarian things. If I go on a ketone diet, ketosis, all I'm eating is fats and proteins, no carbs. Oh, that sounds pretty interesting. Ketones is an energy source versus sugar, your blood sugar. Well, you replace that with ketones. And there's a lot of benefits from that, actually quite a few benefits from it. It sounds good. It's easy to work, lose weight, feel good. I went on Atkins. I avoided, I was on less than 10 grams of carbs a day, and I loved it. I mean, just easiest thing in the world to do. So a lot of fats, a lot of proteins, increased my body's acidity levels. Never knew that. The bone loss was occurring. Didn't know that. So the ketosis is good, but it's like a lot of other things. Had I known Atkins needed fruits and veggies, which have very little, if I'm looking at blueberries and strawberries and raspberries, very little carbs. I mean, I'd have to eat a lot of those to have any effect whatsoever on a carb basis. Maybe I need to be smarter in my ketosis by having some green veggies and fruits in order to offset some of that acidic level in my body. I kind of attuned it to the song The Gambler. You got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them, etc. Well, you got to know when you got to get off of ketosis a little bit in order to address that issue of body pH. And it's simple. You can order it online, go down to a lot of stores. It's just a little tab you touch to your tongue. It turns a color. You look at the color. 7.5, good. 6.5, not so good. So those are things that are there. Hormone balance. Hormones are signals. They signal the body to do this, like peptides. They're there and they tell organs to do certain things at certain times. And when we have our right level of the right kinds of fats and fibers and proteins and nutrients, hormones are pretty happy, chemicals in the body. But they sometimes get out of balance because we don't eat the right things. We don't have, uh, maybe I'm a vegetarian. I'm not eating my proteins. I'm not getting my amino acids. Maybe I'm more of a standard American diet where it's more omega-6 fatty acids than omega-3, which makes my body inflamed, which causes a problem with balance here, there, and yonder. So a lot of intertwining things happen at the same time, and we don't really know much about them. We know about sugar insulin resistance. That's something I think that most people say, yeah, I've heard the term. I kind of know what it is. But do you know what leptin resistance is, or ghrelin resistance, or adiponectin resistance, cortisol resistance? Those are all things that are revolving around that sugar insulin resistance issue. Because when your body, you eat food and you have fat in your gut, it's sending messages back and forth to the brain between ghrelin and leptin and adiponectin, and so you get these communication things going. But if all of a sudden the communication isn't going because there's resistance to having that thing going, now you end up with insulin resistance and leptin resistance and something else. And we're not even getting involved with the thyroid and sex hormones and other complications that develop. So the balance that you have in your diet of having, the 30, 31, 32 things you need, nutrients you need every single day, balance the hormones, and they keep our bodies operating properly. Inflammation, free radical damage. 24/7, your body is being attacked all over at the cellular level, DNA level, everywhere. Every time your free radical is a molecule that lost an electron for whatever reason and is looking to find another electron, it bumps into another electron, steals that electron. Now it's a stable, happy molecule again. But this new molecule that lost the electron is now a free radical, is going out bouncing, trying to stabilize. Well, we have antioxidants to provide extra electrons to stabilize things, but if we're not eating the right foods that contain these antioxidants, we can't get the balance of that inflammation. And one of the things that we've learned over time is that chronic low-level cellular inflammation leads to disease. It leads to oxidative stress, which leads to DNA mutations. And so we end up with a situation. So if my standard American diet is 10, 20, or 30 times the ratio of omega-6 to omega-3, I'm ending up constantly in an inflammatory condition. Oxidative stress is occurring all the time. And years down the road, I'm going to have some kind of health issue that I could have corrected earlier, but didn't know about it. Ideally, omega-6 to omega-3 ratio should be no more than 4-to-1. 1-to-1 would be a great ratio, but 4-to-1 is healthy because both omega-6s and omega-3s are essential fatty acids. We have to get them from our foods. Advanced glycation end products, AGEs, is how we cook our foods. Are they fried at high temperatures, barbecued, the black on the outside of a steak, the char marks? Those are all things, but they add to this issue in our bodies of distracting and disturbing and causing inflammation. If I only have it once a week, probably not a big deal. If I'm having it 4, 5, 6 times a week, big deal. So we say, well, I don't have to eat all those veggies. I don't have to eat all that stuff because I can take my one a day, and here's 35, 40 different kinds of things or whatever it may happen to be. Well, part of the problem is that not all of the things they put in a pill is absorbable. If I take a look at calcium is probably one of the least absorbable ones there. The same thing with magnesium. There's some things in there. It's cheap to produce yeah, there's vitamin E in there. It's synthetic. Not worth a damn, but it's in there. I'm giving you vitamin B12. It's going to be torn up by stomach acid. So you have to look at what is bioabsorbable. If I want to have curcumin, which is a very good supplement, great for pain control and other things, resveratrol, there's some couple others in there, that if you add black pepper extract to it, a piperine, it makes the molecule of curcumin or resveratrol 100,000 times more absorbable in the body. Ubiquinone versus ubiquinol, CoQ10. If you buy it at the shelf, there's a difference between the two, about 3 times the price. If I buy the ubiquinol, I'm paying more money, but a lot more of it's going to be absorbable in my body. If I buy the lower price option of ubiquinone for CoQ10. Yeah, it gets in the body, but 2 or 3 or 5% at most actually becomes effective in the body. So sometimes you got to pay a little bit more to get something that's actually going to be usable. B12, I mentioned earlier, is a cobalamin. Methylcobalamin dissolves under the tongue. Cyanocobalamin is in a pill. It ends up in your stomach and it's dissolved. Oxides, carbonates are very difficult to absorb. A lot of other things are out there. If your multivitamin is in liquid, that's a plus. If you're taking it under the tongue, that's again another plus, because you're bypassing some of the things that could create a problem down the road. Hydration. I think this is a bigger problem than most people think. They have their cup of coffee or two in the morning, and then they kind of avoid water all day long. Of course, then you get the people who are drinking, 1, 2, or 3 bottles of water a day, and then you end up with the microplastic program down the road. Or if you have the people who are just drinking water out of the tap, now you have 100 plus dissolved prescription drugs that are dumped in the toilet all the time that never get processed out. So, water is an issue. There's pluses and minuses to some kinds of things out there, but hydration is important. Regardless of whatever it is, you need hydration, but you also need electrolyte balance. You hydrate too much, you start disturbing the balance of your electrolytes. I have occasionally a thing called restless leg syndrome. I'm sitting there asleep at night trying to get to sleep, and all of a sudden my leg will shift, and about 10 seconds later, shoot. And I learned a long time ago, years ago, that if I just go to the bathroom and get myself 1 or 2 potassium pills, it's gone. But sometimes calcium, magnesium, there's lots of things. If you look at restless leg, they'll say take it. For me, I found that potassium works super well. Caffeine is a mild diuretic. You might have a couple, 3 cups of coffee. You're actually not necessarily sweating out caffeine, but you're losing it through urination. One of the best things about urination, the color of your urine is most noticeable. If it's a dark color, you're not getting enough fluids. If it's a light color, things are going pretty good. Sodium, calcium, potassium, magnesium, absolutely needed. They prevent your cardiovascular disease. That's your major issue when you start having electrolyte imbalance. Caloric restriction, portion control. I went a long time ago to using a salad plate. I can't even tell you how many years ago that was. And whatever goes on that plate, that's it, no seconds. If I go to a all-you-can-eat place, I try one time only. I pile it on. But I don't go back for seconds and thirds and fourths. But caloric restriction, they found that animals, 30% less food, they live longer and healthier than their cousins, their peers that don't. They keep talking about doing human studies on it, but it's so unreliable when you talk about food. A lot of testimonial data out there, but how much and when, it's an issue. So you got to choose the right kind of calories to say, I'm going to do 30% less. And then you also have to give your body time to rest and reset. So if you're eating 6 meals a day, even though they might be just 200 calories each, that's not the plus. That's actually defeating the purpose. If you're only eating twice a day, that's a plus, because now your body has time to actually do the repairs it needs to do. Stress, again, a lifestyle choice, affects so many things, forces many of us to go to our comfort food, our ice cream, whatever it may happen to be. Sugar makes us feel better. Remember that Lay's commercial, can't eat just one chip? Yeah, because that fat, that texture, that crunch, that just so many things there go to the brain and say, oh, I need another one. So the additives in the food enhances the flavor, the taste, the texture, and even sometimes the crunch that we can hear. And most of us don't do anything to manage our stress. We don't think we're stressful, but we are. Every day it adds up. Our metabolism is actually a lot smarter than we give it credit for. If you're overweight or underweight just a little bit, your metabolism will keep you there. You eat a little bit more, I can't gain weight. I eat a little bit less, I can't lose weight, because our metabolism adjusts to wherever our current status is. So if all of a sudden I was needing, let's say, 1,000 calories a day to maintain my weight, and I take 200 less and I'm on 800, our metabolism is going to adjust. Say, hey, so I need this extra stuff. And our subconscious mind plays in supporting it. We're in there. We got to maintain present tense, positivity, and personal. So if I say I'm not going to do something, it doesn't hear the not, and it just goes ahead and does it. Depression can be caused by various types of nutriencies, your vitamin D3, iron, zinc, a lot of B vitamins that also support the heart with homocysteine issues. So our food choices affect our mental health. They affect all aspects of our life. And they also affect the rates at which we age, the level of our health and our disease. So to wrap this thing up as quickly as I can, lifestyle choices control the good and bad of our lives. We have to know what is good, what is bad, when to hold them, when to fold them, so to speak. The hallmarks of health and aging controlled by our lifestyle choices. And we start today with food. Habits are hard to break. They can be broken. So we have to know what's going on. That's great. Knowing how to do something better is, that's even better. But when we know why something causes a change in us, that's generally when that habit's easier to break. Red O'Loughlin signing out today for Talking Heads. Thank you so very much for joining me, and we will catch you again next week. Take care, y'all. Bye now.
Meet Lady Ella, a special ladybug who is trained by Grand Beetle on how to listen at an elevated level. After earning her gold wings, Mother Earth and Father Universe asked her to travel across the solar system, teaching life lessons to creatures to respect one another and to listen. Learn more about her travels in the book series, The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella. The Amazing Adventures of Lady Ella, the Listening Mentor. Lady Ella's ABCs of Listening. Lady Ella has afternoon tea in London. The ocean calls and Lady Ella listens. Lady Ella listens in the Baobab National Game Park. Lady Ella's space adventure across the universe. The magical adventures of Lady Ella and her super-powered friends. There are also collections of colouring books for parents and kids. Providing world-class education, entertainment, hope and inspiration. Join our team of elevated listeners to teach children elevated listening skills. Lady Ella would like to teach you and your family how to listen at an elevated level. If you're interested in learning life lessons as well as how to communicate more effectively as a family, go to Amazon and order Lady Ella's books. They're all there just waiting for you.
Is it true? Is it kind? Is it necessary? In a world quick to judge, one book dares to reveal the hidden cost of silence. Discover Holy but Harmful, The Silent Sin of Judgment, How Hidden Judgments Destroy Relationships and Damage Lives by Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. The Amazon #1 bestseller that's transforming the way we understand ourselves and the way we see others. Pick up the companion workbook to uncover your own hidden judgments and learn how to break free from them. Available now on Amazon and at fine bookstores worldwide.
USA Global TV and Radio proudly presents Tracy Cram Perkins, a dementia caregiving survivor teaching how to balance care with peace of mind. #1 resource for dementia caregivers. It's the book Dementia Home Care: How to Prepare Before, During, and After. Over 17,000 copies sold of this must-have guide. And now a testimonial from Tracy Smith.
If I was to describe this book to someone who is going through a similar situation, I would underscore how important it is to have some sort of a tool or a guidebook to help you through certain stages. And there's so many, it's such an unknown topic to the average person. And to have this as a reference is essential. It's going to help you get through it personally, as well as help your loved one manage.
To learn more, go to TracyCranPerkins.com. Tracy Cran Perkins is an award-winning author. She's also the host of Dementia Home Care television show. Watch it here on USA Global TV and Radio.
Thank you, viewers and listeners of USA Global TV and Radio, for joining us today. We're honoured to have your time and attention as part of our global community. At USA Global TV and Radio, we believe in the power of authentic conversations, meaningful connections, and creating a world of possibilities together. Want to be part of something bigger? Join our team of elevated listeners at USAGlobalTV.com, a space where your voice matters and your ability to listen transforms relationships. Stay connected with us across all our platforms for thought-provoking discussions, expert insights, and empowering stories. Subscribe to our channels at youtube.com/c/USAGlobalTV. Follow us on social media and explore the endless opportunities we're creating for growth, learning, and inspiration. Together, we're not just broadcasting, we're building bridges and changing lives one conversation at a time. For inquiries, contact us at info@usaglobaltv.com. Produced by Executive Producer and Director Dr. Jacqueline Kerbeck. Voiceover by Mike Porter. Creative direction by Paul Garcia. All rights reserved. Visit usaglobaltv.com to view our full terms and conditions.